Tech companies love Silicon Valley, and they like New York City pretty fine too, but London wants to woo them across the Atlantic. Thanks in part to some attractive tax incentives, almost 500 companies, including Google and Cisco, have moved operations into a part of town they're calling Silicon Roundabout or Tech City. I spoke to the man tasked with selling this idea to startups and to investors, Erik Kleij. He's CEO of the Tech City Investment Organization. And I started by asking him why London, which in the past has suffered its own booms and busts in tech, should be viewed as an attractive opportunity for these kinds of companies.
We think that London now pretty much rivals places like New York in terms of destinations to be able to start a business. And the reason for that, in some areas, it has actually an advantage. So, for example, in Silicon Valley, we've seen some of the brightest talent being significantly overpaid, the engineers in particular, and actually hopping between companies quite a lot. That stifles the growth of those businesses. Whereas in Tech City, and certainly in the UK, because we have an open market, we find it very easy, or much easier, to attract the high caliber talent. And that in turn will feed these companies that are seeking to grow very fast.
Could it be successful without tax policy?
We've made some terrific steps, such as, for personal investors into tech, we moved the tax break from 20 to 30%. That was unprecedented in the last budget. And we're actively looking at the moment to see what else we can do to even make it more attractive. I think it's very important because it sends the right signal. Government only has a few levers, and one of them is tax. And so it's very important that we use it wisely to make sure that we create the optimum tax environment to encourage investment in tech.
To the cynics, though, tax arbitrage is a race to the bottom.
Well, the important thing about the tech industry is it has become one of the places that investors do go for one reason, and that is that it is low capital intensive. When you compare it to traditional industries, why do venture capitalists like and love the tech sector? Because you can put small amounts of money in and grow exponentially without those huge costs of capital.
London's tech scene has boomed and bust, you might say, a couple of times. Why will this time be different?
I think it's probably because we are starting from a platform of economic stability within the tech community. The businesses that are there, less than 5% of those companies are funded by any external financing. So the economic basis for their survival is far more stable than in previous eras where they've been entirely venture-backed or government grant-backed.
How much is being spent on Tech City in total when you sum up everything, including some of the Olympic spending? And what kind of return should the British taxpayer expect?
So the beautiful thing about Tech City itself is that we did not pay any extra to get those companies to start there. It's not like an artificially stimulated cluster of the kind that you see elsewhere in the world. What we do know is how much we're investing in the Olympic Park and the whole of Tech City as a result. And that's, as I say, over £9 billion, which is a very substantial investment, most of it going into infrastructure. We expect the payback for that to be for the long-term economic benefit of the UK. And in fact, it's very important that the UK, along with Europe, stays ahead. And actually, we're so fortunate to be able to make that investment because of things like the Olympics. And then also, on top of that, to have this natural cluster. But don't let me in any way underestimate the importance of growth. We are particularly focused on identifying any growth that we have and making sure that we accelerate it and actually stay out of the way when it's doing well.
Build it and they will come. That's what they're hoping for London's Tech City.